for NA East and Europe, there's just a bunch of people who are finishing games while others start theirs. So leaderboards are never really solid for more than 5 minutes at a time.
That's for sure. And we will hop right back into games. I believe we're watching Bucky right now, and he's trying to play a little bit of catch up. Hit the 200-point mark is the top spots, and he has 6 eliminations already and still making it work. He has the loadout he needs, a nice burst rifle shot, and he will make it count, but also has a shockwave launcher and a bunch of heals. Right into the box, yes, another big tag, and also the phase through, but I think that player out. No, he's not. He tries to take it, and that is not what you want to do against Bucky, who has exactly the kit to take a quick firing fight just like that.
This is, I think, Bucky's first event on BBG too, after getting signed just recently. So kind of putting his name on the map after he's finally not a free agent after such a long time. We'll see how that goes.
There are a lot of people for him to find, actually, and fight. Another big tag to start things off, and he will launch straight across at them. Almost gets another, but just barely off the mark. There it is, the crack. And he gets cracked too, 20 HP, and unfortunately that means that he has to wait to actually pursue this, possibly going to shockwave away, but maybe a little too much elevation. No, just barely catches himself, and hopefully he can get both of these off. Reloads quickly on the shockwave launcher unless he needs to get away again. Might be a quick launch. Yes, he's leaving completely. I'm surprised to see him leave that one elim on the board entirely.
I feel like his last 2 games, when it not been going so well, we saw kind of the difference in Bugha's high point stacked lobby. I think he's now almost close to 200 points towards the top side of the leaderboard. Bucky's all the way at 100. 17 players left alive. Very different around that third zone, which is closing in at the moment. Might just be looking for hard placement, just one consistent game. We're going right back to his home turf, it looks like, Caddy Corner. Unless he picked someone off who was rotating from this POI, this could, or probably isn't obviously the place that he wants to land at come semi and grand finals, but there's an art to opens, and it's controlling these power weapons. It's landing at sometimes more big spots on the map and just popping off from there.
Yeah, I think definitely in the open stage, you saw a lot of people who don't normally contest at Caddy end up being there. Much more stacked than, for example, it was in the grand finals, especially in NA East. There was only like 3 people contesting, and in EU I think it was around 4, but still it could be a lot more, and could actually be a reason why he has 7 eliminations at this point in time.
He's got all the shrooms to eat too. It was kind of like a pseudo loadout from Caddy Corner. Not really the charge shotgun you're looking for, but you do have the best launcher you can find. Still a few henchmen left over here. We're getting straight into this corner. It's going to be the main point of focus for this end game. What I'm worried about are these mountains all across all sides. I don't think Bucky's too worried though, because that launcher does get him to go all around wherever he wants. Matt's looking low though, so he will have to use as many rockets as possible for himself personally. That might save a lot of other people. He has 2 launch pads to boot too, so this game's not looking lost entirely. You could also just find a quick siphon and impact elimination anywhere around this map. It might be this person right next to that gas station.
Thought that was a henchman for a second. I was like, why is that henchman jumping over builds and starting to pickaxe walls? Man, they've evolved. They actually have this season. They feel so strong at the moment. And you're right. He's going to go for it. Shockwave in from 2 boxes away. Unfortunately, slightly misjudged the angle, but he still gets a tag in any case. And now might actually phase into the box. No, coming from the side. And that sidewall is gone too because of the henchman being on his team. Literally, Bucky doing it again. He has a full teammate right now in solos.
A little bit of friendly fire though on the side of the man who was helping him with that bill. The 2 henchmen's finally down. This player's probably really confused, but knows still what's going on. Bucky's still looking for the shot, and it's Taste who gets completely aced and taken out.
That was actually kind of disgusting. The charge shotgun shot to start things off, and then the jump burst to finish things. That was impressive. And he actually finds the player who had kits charge shotgun. So that was somebody else who started off in caddy corner, just like Bucky, very clearly.
There are airdrops around Bucky, but I don't think he really needs them. 3 launch pads, max rockets almost. And all the rotation he could ask for in the world. He's on one of the best positions for Zone 2. Although there are multiple people focusing him as a result, he gets to just relieve that pressure slightly and now has targets to focus. He knows this player on the left is smart, making sure he gets a little bit of pressure down on Bucky. He might just target him and try to take him out as fast as possible. He's literally on the zone line and going straight in for another free airdrop.
Whoa.
Ooh, unfortunate timing to open up the inventory there.
If he ended up going down there, I think he would have completely committed to that escape. Just quick game. I'm done. Nah, just messing around. Bucky going for that drop, who he really did not need that, just like you said, and unfortunately ends up paying for it, though there's mushrooms to recover, so it's not that big of a deal. The only thing he really lost was time, position, and materials, which, now that I say that all out loud, it's kind of significant.
I mean, is it really? Because he has Caddy Shockwave Launcher, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Or Kid's Shockwave Launcher. That, what does it do? What does it cover? It covers time, positioning, and your materials. So he's got 14 rockets worth of those to use however which way he wants. Not many people going down means everyone's playing passively. He gets to basically rotate in for free.
Yeah, everybody's gone over the mountain. And the 6 zone pulls up to the northwest. It's going to pull off of a mountain too, which is even better for Bucky. He doesn't have to worry about that dive at all. He can just kind of glide straight over and land safely on his feet. No fall damage whatsoever. But to catch up at this point for Bucky, he really needs more eliminations, and he does have the kit to do it, no pun intended. He has the loadout to do really well, but he's not going for the opportunities, except back at Caddy's corner, a missed launch pad, but even that doesn't matter, man. You can make so many mistakes with the amount of stuff that he has in his inventory, and he literally doesn't care. Actually, that almost was better, because the shockwave down the hill puts him way ahead of everybody rather than staying in the sky for so long.
Yeah, the zone could have gone any which other way, but there's one person coming straight down of crash pads of their own. A big shot down onto Bucky, and now he has to heal up. Still getting focused, just minis available. The white health will stay stagnant, not go up or down. He's gonna have to get eliminations to solve that problem. A big edit there, and this aura skin is not stopping. A hunting aura of sorts, not letting Bucky go, but hey, another problem, another caddy shot, another solution. Shockwave launchers are the answer and the key to all doors of endgame. 8 people left alive. It feels like Bucky's barely even faced much travesty except for that one player. And now he's all the way back up to 100 health, which you need in endgames. Another big shockwave launcher to get him ahead of the zone. Although he's taking a little bit of damage, I don't think it's adding up enough significantly compared to how fast he's getting these eliminations.
Yeah, possibly another nice dink 52, but that player stays in the box. He might end up going down to zone. Bucky going to continue to pressure, but every time he tries, it feels like there's more and more people looking to get into his box, into his face, and potentially loot up. Now he has no mats, and he has to play it on the heel. There's one on the backside. Yes, it's a siphon. Bucky is doing it. Potentially another one. Still shockwaves, but he has to go up this time because no materials. There it is, a shockwave up. He could have actually launched that guy out, and I think he actually might have. Another shockwave to go up. He can't go forward, otherwise he'd be trapped in a very, very awkward position. Finally, some mats. No, he ends up falling. Bucky almost did it. That would have been you know, not necessarily the clutch of a century, but it definitely would have been a lot of fun to watch no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it catches him up straight to where all these other people are on the leaderboard. I think 171 points. We have the perspectives of both Cease here at 155 and then Slick, who we just saw before. I believe Slick being one of those NAOS home players. Cease here will obviously be the one coming in from East. And once again, when you're up past these lobbies, you have bigger player counts.
And Cease has had his foray into NA West. He played trios there with Riversound and Elevate. You got to remember that. And they did perform pretty decently, if I remember correctly. Actually, I think I'm remembering completely wrong. But regardless, there's just too much FNCS action to recall off the top of my head. I definitely have to do the prep to recall all of that. What I do know is that right now in the box, it's a completely different state of the game from back when we had trios the last time. He has a glider gun though, and that is what the key was for him to earn his spot in the top 15 of the NA East Dreamhack Grand Finals last week.
And this time he's shooting for number 1. When it comes to opens, not only is there a glider gun, but I think a type we don't get to see anymore this season, or at least too much of, that mythical drum gun was so important when it came to big elimination performances in Chapter 2, Season 2, but now in Season 3, it's kind of been the story of, you know, charged shotguns and shockwave launchers. The grapple guns have been the counter the whole time, so Cease has the best chance compared to whoever else controls the other mythic item, but the drum gun is not something we usually see every single game, held by the person who wins the lobby.
Sometimes you just don't have the option, though. I'm surprised to see that, given that the Authority tends to have quite a lot of rapid fire SMGs, or just in general ARs that are better than the drum gun in this case. Definitely a big change since Season 2 and the power of Midas's drum gun last season. This one has slightly less fire rate, does slightly less damage. So you'll end up seeing people, oh, and the compact SMG is just straight up back. So even maybe thinking back, the Midas drum gun might not have been the same as the compact SMG even.
Bunch of close range options. Cease is trying to stay far right now, though, compared to everyone else. Not looking to just break down yet into boxes with Tommy gun, but just delay the game as much as possible. Has the launch pad to use once again. The first one already dropped. Here is a moment, though, where he can get close and personal, and he gets the reward for it, too. Can switch things out to get a nice purple AR, but not going to lock in with it. He does have all close range options, and the zones are getting smaller. It's the name of the game to just delay and then go for quick, easy frags left and right. Saw the way Bucky did it. Now we're seeing the way Cease does it himself. Crash pads all the way around. He's connecting with shots on multiple different targets on every single layer. Has a glider gun to catch up to. You can't forget. Here it is. Nice glide. Holding one pretty much. Going straight towards the zone. He's central. Mats are looking really good. Better than we've seen from almost any player we've watched so far up to this point. He could have the freedom to do whatever he wants. Here's the counter, though. Getting shockwave down could just spell disaster. Not even the glider gun can solve that problem. Unfortunate for Cease.
That was the quickest turn of events that we've seen so far, from hero to zero instantly. Had the glider gun even to respond, but everybody saw what happened. They were all like, oh, that's a free elim. Maybe potential for Cease to stay in zone a little bit longer and kind of hope to get rid of his sense, but no chance in that at all. You see Booga for a second, a decent position in zone, and now we're looking at Slick. And he is playing an endgame with 12 people right now, only one elimination. I can't quite see his points. That is up in the mid 100s at least, potentially even up to 190. So this means a lot for Slick as he's on his way to qualification.
Definitely a lot on the line. Got to remember what it means to be there up in Heat 1, not have to go through the stress of Heat 2. Slick trying to box someone in, but does not find the spray. That could be the difference.
Yeah, that could really be. Just that one elim alone would have gotten him for sure a couple more placements, because there was nobody else playing low ground. A couple nades being tossed at Punisher's box, no reaction whatsoever, and he actually ends up getting hit because of that. Now the player's W King right on top of him. Punisher's trying to box out, but this floor is too low. The wall is blocking him. He has to edit it further. Thankfully, it didn't go all the way. Now back to Booga, who's more close to an end game and higher points too. Weeping Woods is the ends, and he has the zone. This time, though, none of the mobility that we saw in his hands the last time. Still, though, a burst AR, which we saw him find a couple of elims with in that last game.
He's going with the same theme of having a 3-heal loadout. Those chunk splashes basically replacing a type of flopper gameplay where you can take damage from the zone, albeit not 100 when you have 2 stacks of the item, but this time 40. Once again, blocking off launch pads. There's 2 plays down. This player is all the way trapped inside the zone. And always getting the first pickup on every person flying, no matter how many people are shooting. Like, it's nuts.
I talked about Rogue Shark's aim, and we saw that game where he ended up missing a lot of opportunities, still hitting shots, but not quite finding the final ones. Booga, though, is always just finding the picks out of the sky. I wonder if he's just like perfectly taking the shots at the time when he knows the player is low or what, because time and time again, he's actually finishing them off, getting the credit where he deserves. He does do the work, and he doesn't miss shots with the AUG either.
I think it's the angle he chooses to actually take these shots. He's always there to be active more than anyone else. He doesn't have to really readjust his body. He just has to focus on keeping that mouse on target. And because of that, he rains more shots than anyone else. He can see exactly where shots are coming from to, once again, as you mentioned, time his bullets if need be. But he just picks the perfect boxes to base up on depending on the zone. And we saw the amount of planning he takes to go through that, whether it's what's the worst position that he could be in, or how do I move to the best one? What's the timing?
What a find. What a find there. Just looking up. Sorry to interrupt, but the crash pads there is perfect. And now he has the mobility he needs to move forward, but no, he threw at least... No, that's only one. I'm not sure where that other one came from, but now he's getting beamed out the sky and a little too high. He's got to land, and quickly, that's the patented quick box that Booga is so good at, but there's a player behind him, and unfortunately, that time, no spatial awareness whatsoever for Booga.
It's tough when your screen shakes that hard and even distract the best of player. Nice try for the comeback, though. The crash pads, commitment to the cause, too. A different POV from Punisher. Still all the way in mid-game. We've been watching a lot of endgame so far.
As it should be in opens, because there's just so many games to get through and so many people to cover. Don't forget the number that DreamHack has reached is 460,000 participants over all the regions. That is ridiculous amount of players. That is a level, especially for a third-party tournament, right? Like, that is insane. Punisher continuing on this fight. He was very low, but getting pressured now. Another explosive shot through. No, it stinks, actually. He gets down, and thankfully, I think he has escaped the grasp and the vision of the player throwing these, because there's not another one following up. Otherwise, he'd be continuing to get hit back up, and now all his heals are gone, unfortunately.
And look where he ran all the way back to. He actually got ticked once, so the Spur knows exactly where he is. And he was willing to just send out one stink to maybe find out or deal a little bit of damage. I'm going to guarantee that if he has another one, he might send out 2. Controlling a lot of this box. Fun had a chance to move in and take a shot off, but chose to play a little bit more passively. Position on zone is pretty smart, because I feel like every single box would start aiming straight at the fight that you're at on edge zone. Options for him now. He could use this flare to actually gain a little bit of advantage on movement, using him as basically a blocker for a lot of shots, moving off of what this player above him does. At the same time, because he's slightly lower on elevation, that might happen to him more so than not. But there is a third, more elusive option that he gets, which is actually getting central zone on half and half. So he's big vibing, not much to really think about. He can go for snipes.
A gift. We're sitting here calculating the options, worst case scenarios, but sometimes it's simple. I almost thought that there was a AI who sneaked his way into the DreamHack Open, sitting in the open right there. Punisher will miss the shot because the player jumps at the perfect time. It always happens like that. But like you said, snipe opportunities abound right now in this fifth zone, you can catch people lacking quite a lot. 163 points for Punisher. So it might actually end up being that there's not that many players who are caught sleeping at the wheel in their window. A snipe opportunity through the window. No, it does not connect. Would have been sick though.
This is like monumental risk and reward, because every snipe he goes for are AR shots that he could possibly guarantee hitting over and over again.
And you're speaking, of course, the fact that he has no heals at all in his inventory, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, needs to connect at every chance possible. A sniper will do a lot of damage, but once again, the trade-off of being able to land consistent shots, and there could be someone who's 1 HP, who's rotating no mats and taking a snipe shot at that individual. You might miss. You could have just sprayed him, had that free pickup. Now getting checked on the pressure he's applying. We're in that end game moment here with Punisher. Only has 1 elim, so I think staying alive for as long as possible is definitely the win condition for this game overall in the tournament. Sometimes you can get away with getting picked off early if you've ramped up a lot of elims. Say if Punisher had like 6 or 7 right now, you could keep going for more. It wouldn't be that bad if he ended up getting taken out. He could keep taking risks, but because he has 1, he hasn't amounted to much this game, and the placement will be the main thing he's going to be striving for, but so hard to get because everyone else has that goal on their plate. I think it's a very expensive rotations here too. In terms of mats, we're now down to about 400, 500, which will not be enough to finish, but he's got some nice free range rotations. Ooh, but it's blocked off. Getting to the land of uncertainty to low ground.
Even more players in the layer too. He's going to have to try to break through. There's some loot inside of that, and he might actually opt to go for it. Takes the control on the one side, but that was a mistake. Now you got a W key straight on top of you, and a compact SMG will be so hard to get away from. 17 HP now, and no chance of getting back into this. Like you said, no heals, and instantly that player will turn, no matter what his status was. He will end up popping off. Speaking of popping off, we're at 171 points for Cody. He must have started something like 70 or 80, definitely from behind, because this game is very light. 8 people remaining. And Cody, who played, we mentioned him at the beginning of the broadcast when we were watching Jelty, essentially, played out of his mind in grand finals and out of his mind actually throughout the entire weekend. We watched him in EU. That's when Dreamhack Production became a fan of his hat and the Cody Dojo. He has the shockwave launcher here, and he's really making it work right on top of this player behind him. And that player will box up, so not taking the fight at all, but gives Cody height.
We've seen what he can do with it. He has the tools of destruction to abuse it too. 12 eliminations this game. I think we left him at 77 points in total. He's boosted up all the way to 176. Could it be the same game he's doing this in? Possibly. The math will have to add up here and there. Either way, though, this game is wrapping up with 7 players left alive. They're all passive in their box. I'm getting vibes of how Flawless had that FNCS Open Invitational 30 bomb run. He could basically pick a box, focus it, get the elim, it's done. Move on to the next. And that's exactly what he's doing. Not going to get close and personal, though, but just beam from afar.
I like how that's always the W key game that you remember. That 30 bomb from Flawless when there's been so many. I mean, to be honest, these games all start to look exactly the same. No matter whether it's a shockwave or a drum gun or not a mythic item at all, like in season 1 when you watched Unknown do the types of things that he did, they all start to mesh together, right? It's like use whatever mobility exists or however you have to get towards the player and then box them like a fish and win the fight. That's how they all go over and over and over. It's like, we'll have to see. I guess Cody right now, potentially this could be definitely harder. There could be players in here, like you said, at least in that first game, who are really dominant and actually can match the skill of Cody. So he's got to be careful. One thing to note, look at the building speed of Cody, even on higher ping, I think around 60 for him. And it still looks like he's playing on NA East, but He's done this. He did it on EU too, where it looks just as smooth. Here it goes one more time. There's the AI that he saw earlier in the game. That's a different game meshing, but it still looks like an AI. RPG coming through too, and he loses that elim. And what he needed to catch back up to the top. Another shockwave out. No, he actually doesn't use that shotgun instead.
That's good for what he actually wanted to get off that elimination, which were the materials. Now he's pumped all the way back up. We're in 8th zone. Going to be locking in, then moving to 9th. And he has not only the shockwave launcher to play with, but the mats to be able to sustain the addiction of just raining people straight into the storm. Only has 3 rockets left, though, so running low on ammo. It's all good. Multiple box after box. The defensive capabilities of Cody are high. It's some of the best weapons in the game. 5 people left. Each movement when you open yourself is going to be just left to scrutiny by so many prying eyes on the server. There's not much to hide behind. That includes when you end up taking height. Being second height right now, you're going to be ultimately focused by the person on ultimate. That's Cody. This player not going to be the one to actually launch off. That'll be like person on a mid-ground level or on 3rd height. There's an RPG all the way from low that Cody will need to take care of. He's running out of a lot of mats trying to maintain this position. Really have enough to finish the game. I sense this man running out somewhere in the final zone, but right now he's just been controlling, and a lot of people have just been surviving. Everyone, though, seems to be low on mats. They're just moving around old builds, playing around their edits. Cody actually controls this wall, but breaks through either way. The aggression taking over, and he's looking to wrap out this game.
That's alpha, bro. He's just like, I got the edit. I don't care. I'm going to phase through anyways. Put the fear in the heart of you right on the other side. We are getting some lag from the stream. Unfortunately, bear with us as we watch the end of this game. Still 2 players left to find for Cody. One in the box. Almost goes for it, but the zone will continue to push all the way back. He gets to the front side of zone. One down below. He's got to finish it because he has no mats. And the player in front will start to fight as well. He misses again. No mats for Cody either. Also no ammo. He has to potentially rely on this AR, but no, right back up, saving some time and the shot to close things out. Cody is a monster when it comes to W King. On different ping, and also a monster when it comes to grand finals. I expect to see him, even if it's NA West, play out and play well in the grand finals on Sunday.
I hope the grand finals are a little bit less of a baseball game and there aren't so many throws when it comes to Cody's gameplay. It's all good though. We're in here with the Ops who doesn't throw that much or toss bread in by any means. My man is always serious when it comes to competition, but the vibes stay high.
His friends will say otherwise. I think this friend group of Ops crew are the ones to say, oh, you tossed my bread the most out of anybody. So Ops might be the recipient. I'm wondering where he's at on HP 10 is what it goes for. I was actually wondering where he's at in arena points, but that is completely irrelevant. One thing that's good for Ops is 171 points on Launchpad still. No HP. But he has a lot of subs.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's absolute bait. I think it's still bait right now. Every time I see a 9 on a sub count that doesn't move for an hour, especially when it's up in these thousands, I just feel like there's some marketing ploy at work.
This is going to be rough. The first thing he needs to do while moving, he can't even launch, and the zone is on his back. So no time to find what he needs to find, which is an elim. He has to find it first before he launches. He has to go on foot otherwise, because if he goes in the air, 1 tap, or it's actually 2 taps from an AR will take him out, but 1 burst from a burst AR, shotgun shots, he'd be done for.
I think sometimes you risk it for the biscuit, and he's going for the big launch, the biggest bite he can get. And he survives. No one even looks at him.
Okay. So NAS just not shooting. A good launch for Ops. The 9 has still not moved.
Oh my God. 1 misstep. If he gets way too close to the zone to expand, I hold my breath every time. It could just be over. But he's got restraint. Got a nice recycle too. This wall being open is also a little bit sweaty for me, or a little bit too sweaty, but it's good. Rotating, this is the most dangerous economic tarp because once again, a single shot ends his run. He still hasn't gotten an elimination. Only about 4 people been taken out so far. Ops is still somehow surviving. 140 mats.
Oh, the charge up, but that gives it away. That guy still stays directly under his stairs, though, and he might actually edit down, possibly a cone from Ops. No, it's just going to be the shots, and he will follow it up. Yes, there it is, the siphon, the elim. Possible more, but somebody ends up flying and floating directly on his face. And with that, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got some more DreamHack Open on NA West action right after this.